Our NBC News reporter, Catie Beck, who has essentially lived in that courtroom for the last 30 days or so, joins us again live tonight. Catie, your thoughts on this? You've been covering every aspect of this trial, every angle. You've done a lot of television hits, but also a lot of reporting for us. What's your takeaway?
The prosecution really centered a lot of their case.
Well, I think as soon as I heard, Tom, that this verdict was back within 3 hours, there was a part of me that immediately thought this has to be a guilty verdict. There's so much evidence to review. If there was anybody that was on the fence, it would take hours to go through all of those 800 exhibits and 75 witnesses we heard from, 6 weeks of testimony. It was a mountain of evidence that had to be reviewed. If there was any question, clearly there was no question. Clearly this was beyond a reasonable doubt for this jury, and clearly they didn't mind that this motive was sort of a steep hill to climb and hard to digest. The state doesn't have to prove motive. They don't have to prove why he did it. They just have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did do it. And it seems that this jury fully believed he did do it. There was a lack of direct evidence in this case. We didn't have surveillance video. We didn't have murder weapons. We didn't have eyewitnesses. We did have a lot of electronic data, and a lot of that really helped lay out this timeline. And if it wasn't for that critical piece of kennel video that happened just moments before these murders, I do agree with prosecutors, what they said in their rebuttal. If it wasn't for that piece of video, would Alex Murdaugh have ever admitted that he lied about being there? Would we even know he was there? How would this case be different? It would be very different. So again, it really does come down to some of that electronic data in terms of evidence, in terms of convincing this jury that there was simply no reasonable way someone else could have been there that night and committed the crime in that very short timeline.
The judge in this case, Judge Newman, said that they're going to possibly hear some impact statements at the sentencing when that happens. And again, he could be sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for these murders, plus an additional 5 years, 2 counts of the 5 years. So you add up 10, at least 40 years in prison. He's 54 years old right now. But who do you think is going to show up there? Because this case is so strange in the sense that the accused is next of kin of both. He's the father and he's the husband of the victims. So who do you think is going to show up to testify? Is it the victims of the financial crimes? Is it his wife's family? His son, his surviving son, tried to help him out. That didn't work out. So I'm just wondering who we're going to hear from.
Yeah, absolutely. We will hear from several victims of the financial crimes. I've actually heard from several of their attorneys that they've already been slated. They've been waiting because obviously these witnesses have to be sort of on standby when this verdict comes down, that they're going to be next in line to get up on that witness stand and tell the judge why Alex Murdaugh deserves the sentence they think he deserves. So, yes, we do know that some of the victims from those crimes will be testifying. But I also think Alex Murdaugh has the ability to speak as well. He likely will. And in the case where he has pled not guilty, I think he's going to have to take some ownership of some of the things he's done. Also, taking the stand will probably be some of his family. They have been in the court throughout this whole 6-week period. Every day there has been a pretty steady showing of his brothers, his sister, his surviving son, Buster. Buster did take the stand, but didn't really show a great deal of emotion or even affection for his dad. But the fact that he's been here every day has probably spoken that he's supporting him, at least. So we expect to hear from several members of the Murdaugh family as well.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.